I'm Zahir, Kelvin Abdullah, and this is Nightline. The top stories: over 3 billion ringgit in assets and proceeds seized in major crackdown on cross-border Ponzi scheme. And Malaysia secures full ASEAN consensus to jointly tackle Trump tariff challenge. Two businessmen and 2 lawyers who hold Datuk titles are among 8 individuals arrested for their alleged involvement in the Ponzi-style
I think the common stance that each ASEAN nation should take is very specific: 695 million. That is the population of ASEAN, together with all the 10 nations that can offer to United States. And for that reason alone, the 600 million of population consumers, I think that's the reason alone that China is #1 trading partner of ASEAN, followed closely by United States. So by putting constraint in terms of tariff to each individual ASEAN nation, I think it will put a hindrance for trade activities between ASEAN and also United States. So I guess the best is by not putting any tariff on ASEAN nation.
He also said there must be some fluidity in terms of trade activity between ASEAN countries and the US, and continuing to impose the reciprocal tariffs would constrain the relationship between the two parties. Now, at the same event, Anwar said the government is open to reviewing current loan amounts provided to university students under the National Higher Education Fund Corporation, PTPTN. Responding to a suggestion from a student, he noted that the proposal could be considered, but stressed that it would have substantial financial implications. According to Anwar, the Higher Education Ministry has already looked into the matter to support borrowers, including reviewing repayment terms to address the issue of high outstanding debts.
PTPTN outstanding debt now, if I'm not mistaken, close to 40 billion ringgit. And if we increase, it's going to be 50. For now, I see we just have to hold on. Will help probably students in terms of their needs, but I think we have to have this courage to revise.
Elaborating further, he said the issue could be addressed if the wealthy were willing to contribute more to support those who are less well off. However, he acknowledged the sensitivity of implementing such measures. Currently, PTPTN offers several financing packages to full-time students at public and private universities, polytechnics and community colleges. The loans provided range from 4,765 ringgit to 50,000 ringgit per year, depending on the course. 2 people have been confirmed dead and more than 1,000 residents have been evacuated after flash floods hit parts of the Klang Valley. A relentless downpour which lasted for hours on Friday morning triggered the floods across several areas in Shah Alam, Klang and Subang Jaya. One of the victims, a Sri Lankan national, is believed to have died from electrocution. Following the floods in Section 25 Shah Alam, a member of the public reported discovering the body of the 27-year-old victim at a site used to store construction material in Taman Alam Indah at about 10:50 a.m. A dog was also found dead nearby, also believed to have died from electrocution. According to Shah Alam District Police Chief, Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Iqbal Ibrahim, initial investigations reveal that the premises served both as a storage space and the victim's makeshift living quarters. In the meantime, 6 temporary relief centres have been opened in Shah Alam, Klang and Subang Jaya to accommodate over 1,000 evacuees from 325 families. Shah Alam recorded the highest number of evacuees with nearly 600 people relocated, followed by Subang Jaya with 300 and Klang with 200 people. Meanwhile, checks by TV3 in Kampong Padang Jawa Shah Alam found its residents rushing to move their valuables to safety, with many of them still traumatized by the devastating floods of 2021. Residents said floodwaters began rising as early as 5 a.m. Many families made the decision to evacuate as water levels continued to climb.
Tengah tidur dan family saya semua bagi tahu lah air dah naik kan. Dan kita bergegas kemar-kemar barang rumah semua, dan kita keluar pada rumah pukul 7 pagi lah.
Although the situation was not as severe as in 2021, many suffered losses and damage to furniture and new items which could not be saved, including those which had been recently purchased for Hari Raya. Residents have since begun clean-up efforts after the waters began to recede at around 2 p.m. Meanwhile, residents of Kampong Kuala Sungai Baru are facing double the hardship. Still reeling from a gas pipeline fire in Putra Heights on April 1st, the area was hit by flash floods early on Friday morning. Many residents reported water entering their homes at about 6 a.m., forcing them to once again seek shelter at the relief centre set up at the Putra Heights Mosque. More than 300 flood victims from Kampong Sungai Baru and nearby areas are currently being housed at the temporary shelter. The The full report on the investigation into the gas pipeline explosion in Putra Heights is expected to be completed by the middle of next month. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari said the timeline will depend on weather conditions and safety risks at the explosion site.
Tanah dia tak stabil sebab berlaku letusan dan di sana ada tanah tu dia macam terlalu rapuh. Kalau mereka pijak, mereka boleh terjatuh dan sebagainya.
As such, further on-site investigations into the exact cause of the incident can only proceed once stabilization work at the site is complete. Amiruddin said the technical investigation is still in its early stages and is currently being conducted through dashboard monitoring and written reports. In the meantime, the Menteri Besar announced that security controls in less affected areas will be gradually relaxed starting next week. However, local authorities will continue to monitor the area closely to prevent theft or any other untoward incidents. Now, the Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department is studying international best practices for gas pipeline management in efforts to prevent a recurrence of the recent incident in Putra Heights. Its Director General, Datuk Noor Hisham Mohamad, said the department plans to present a series of recommendations to key stakeholders after taking into account input from various technical agencies.
Once kita dapat itu, kita akan duduk bersekali, kita akan compile berhubung dengan dapatan-dapatan kepada insiden ini, dan dalam masa sama juga kita akan mencadangkan ataupun melihat bagaimana perbandingan dengan amalan-amalan terbaik yang dibuat di seluruh dunia.
He said this during a press conference after the handover ceremony of the letter of acceptance for supply tender between the department and the firefighting vehicle manufacturer in Putrajaya. On the latest developments in the Putra Heights investigation, Noor Hisham confirmed that 5 of his officers will remain at the site to collect data and conduct a joint technical assessment with other relevant agencies. He added that it will take about 2 weeks to complete a preliminary compilation of the data collected. Malaysia's manufacturing sector recorded 148.3 billion ringgit in sales in February, a 5.1% increase from the same period last year. In a statement on Friday, the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, said the increase is largely supported by the retail trade and wholesale trade sub-sector. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Muhammad Uzair Mahidin reported that retail trade recorded 65.2 billion ringgit in sales, a year-on-year increase of 3.6 billion ringgit or 5.9%. Wholesale trade sales also rose by 5.3% to 65.5 billion ringgit, an increase of 3.3 billion ringgit. Retail sales of household goods also grew by 4.6% to 7.4 billion ringgit, largely driven by higher demand for building materials and hardware. The surge was further supported by pre-Ramadan and Hari Raya Aidilfitri purchases of essential goods. How will Malaysian retailers respond to the 90-day US tariff pause? What strategies are retailers using to adapt to changing consumer preferences and market pressures? How can Malaysia's retail sector remain competitive in the wake of external challenges? Azaria Tagaya speaks with Malaysia Retail Chain Association President Datuk Ken Pua only on Money Matters this Saturday 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton. Beijing on Friday increased its tariffs on US imports to 125%, raising the stakes in the trade war that threatens to upend global supply chains. The 125% tariffs, up from 84%, will apply from Saturday in response to US President Donald Trump's decision to hike duties on Chinese goods to 145% a day earlier. The hike comes after the White House paused most of the reciprocal duties imposed on dozens of other countries. Meanwhile, China said it would ignore further tariff hikes by the US because American goods would no longer make economic sense for importers. It also filed a new World Trade Organization complaint over Washington's fresh tariffs. Drug smuggling syndicate foiled after seizure of over 3 million ringgit worth of shabu. This and more from the local front when Nightline returns.
Sayang, gambar kita kat papan iklan.
Nak lihat foto raya anda di papan iklan digital Big Tree? Anda hanya perlu hantarkan foto paling raya anda bersama insan tersayang ke bigtree.com.my. Jika foto anda terpilih, anda juga berpeluang memenangi duit raya berjumlah RM500 dan beramal kepada yang memerlukan. Penyertaan dibuka sekarang sehingga 13 April sahaja tahu. Jangan ketinggalan. Kongsikan kenangan, kongsikan rezeki.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headlines.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Baik saja tertuduh menyalakan pemeti api, api telah menyambar badan si mati hingga menyebabkan beliau melecur hampir keseluruhan badan beliau.
Siasatan mendapati punca utama kejadian adalah konflik dalam hubungan mereka.
Mati telah melecur terbakar sebanyak 95%.
Perayaan, tekanan dalam kegembiraan.
Ya dulu dia seronok, sekarang dah macam tak ada perasaan. Pasal apa? Mungkin sebab itulah trauma ke, kecewa ke.
Soal jodoh, kerjaya dan zuriat antara yang sering dipersoalkan.
Saya suka bergurau. Perkataan daripada mulut saya ni kadang-kadang boleh menyinggung perasaan orang. Saya tak tahu apa, saya minta maaf.
Raya dan tekanan, bagaimana untuk atasinya? Kami bincangkan dalam Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Bukit Aman has confirmed that the name of the Terengganu Menteri Besar has never been included in the special circular list SPK as he is not a criminal. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein, who dismissed the claims made by Datuk Sri Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar, clarified that his name was not listed as a high-risk individual. Razaruddin explained that the term Travel Control Order, TCO, which Samsuri used to describe the alleged close surveillance by authorities, was inaccurate. He added that the TCO actually refers to a travel control officer who is assigned to monitor entry and exit points such as airports or border checkpoints with specific duties. He said the police were aware of the Terengganu Menteri Besar's movements because police officers are always with him to ensure his safety. Razaruddin also denied the allegation that Samsuri's phone had been tapped. On Thursday, Samsuri claimed that he had been placed under complete and continuous surveillance by the authorities, with his movements being monitored and his phone tapped as though he were a dangerous criminal. In Kuala Lumpur, police have arrested 3 local men who were allegedly hired as drug mules to smuggle shabu worth 3.33 million ringgit into Sarawak. The trio, aged between 33 and 44, were detained during a raid on 2 hotel rooms in the Kuchai Lama area at around 11:40 p.m. last Saturday. City Police Chief Datuk Rusdi Muhammad Isa said during the operation, authorities found 100 packets of herbal tea containing 104 kilograms of shabu. The suspects were believed to have been paid between 8,000 and 10,000 ringgit each to smuggle the drugs via flights from Terminal 2 of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA. Two of the suspects had a prior criminal record and tested positive for morphine. Authorities are probing the source of the syndicate's supply and whether they had successfully smuggled drugs prior to the arrest. All three suspects have been remanded for 7 days to facilitate further investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Japan's biggest Yakuza gang pledges peace. The details after this breather.
Hai kawan-kawan pernah tak rasa tak selesa bila ada orang cuba sentuh badan kita? Kawan-kawan ni ingat tahu badan kita ni milik kita. Kalau ada orang sentuh tapi izin, korang cakap tidak. Lepas tu korang bagi tahu ibu bapa ataupun cikgu ataupun kakak dan abang, okey?
Betul tu. Ingat, tak ada orang yang boleh buat kita rasa takut dan tak selesa. Kita berhak rasa selamat dan dilindungi.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headlines.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Ada drama barulah kat Facebook. Nak download lah tu. Ingat jangan download ataupun share laman web cetak rompak. Jangan.
Saat takbir bergema, ada yang patah remuk hatinya.
Lepaskan aku tak salah. Kamu saya. Baru nak puasa raya ayah dengan kita.
Ada yang rasa nak patah balik.
Rasa sekarang sejuk ni.
Dan ada yang tak nak patah hati lagi.
Aku dah jatuh cinta dengan awet ni.
Kau plan lah. Pusing satu taman ni nak cari awet tu tak?
Indahkan memori Syawal di Cerita Ahad TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
On to the foreign front. Japan's largest Yakuza crime syndicate has pledged to end its long-standing war with the rival faction and refrain from causing trouble. In a police statement on Thursday, senior members from the Yamaguchi Gumi had earlier submitted a letter to the police vowing to end all infighting and to not make any trouble. According to local media, the pledge submitted in the Hyogo prefecture may be aimed at loosening the restrictions. However, it is unclear whether the rival splinter group has responded to the ceasefire pledge. In the meantime, police said they would closely monitor the movements of both groups as the declaration to end the turf war may be one-sided. 6 people died after a New York City sightseeing helicopter broke apart mid-air and crashed upside down into the Hudson River in the latest U.S. aviation disaster. According to officials, the incident occurred on Thursday at about 3:15 p.m. local time as witnesses reported hearing a loud bang and seeing the helicopter hit the river without at least one of its rotor blades. 3 adults and 3 children were killed, including a family of 5 from Spain and the pilot. The victims' bodies have been recovered, with diving operations expected to continue on Friday morning to recover the remaining pieces of the wreckage. Meanwhile, the Federal Aviation Administration and National Transportation Safety Board said they will be investigating the crash, while the Coast Guard has established a safety zone in the Hudson River. In South Korea, at least 2 workers were trapped after a partially complete subway tunnel collapsed on Friday in the city of Gwangmyeong. According to the National Fire Agency, the cave-in occurred during tunnel reinforcement work at a site that was part of an underground transit project. Authorities confirm that 2 workers were trapped underground. One of them has been located and rescue efforts are underway, while the second, identified as an excavator operator, remains unaccounted for. The agency has deployed 55 firefighters and 18 emergency vehicles to aid in the rescue operation. The collapse followed earlier warnings at the site when city officials said workers had been withdrawn and the site evacuated after a supervisor reported cracks in an underground support column. Switching to sports, the 2025 Badminton Asia Championships in Ningbo, China. National men's doubles shuttlers Aaron Chia So-yik booked their berth in the semi-finals in emphatic fashion on Friday. The world number 6 pair upstage world number 4 Fajar Alfian, Rian Ardianto of Indonesia 21-16, 21-11 to replicate their feat from last year at the same venue in just 13 minutes. The win was a timely boost for Aaron Wu-yik, who had suffered first-round exits at the All England and Orleans Masters last month. Chinese pair Liang Wei-keng, Wang Chang await them in the last 4. Earlier mixed doubles pair Goh Sun-huat Chevron Lai fell short of matching the 2023 Asian Championships performance after bowing out in the quarterfinals. Seeded third in the tournament, the husband and wife duo suffered a shock defeat to world number 25 pair Jafar Hidayatullah, Felicia Pasaribu of Indonesia, going down 15-21, 11-21 in just 38 minutes. On to football now. The Saudi Pro League, Al Ittihad moved 8 points clear on top of the standings following a 2-0 home win over Al Oruba in Jeddah on Thursday. Unai Hernandez put the hosts ahead deep into added time in the first half, firing a shot into the top corner to record his first strike since joining the club in January. Al Ittihad continued their attacks with Abdurrahman Al Obud sealing the victory 2 minutes from time by scoring a rebound after his initial shot was saved by goalkeeper Gaetan Koker. With the victory, Laurent Blanc's side have moved up to 65 points, 8 ahead of Al Hilal, who travelled to Al Ettifaq on Friday for their game in hand. Tennis, the 2025 Monte Carlo Masters. Stefanos Tsitsipas continued his recent dominance on Thursday when he brushed past Nuno Borges to clinch his 50th clay court ATP Masters 1000 victory. The Greek player demonstrated excellent footwork to dictate on his forehand, pulling the world number 43 from corner to corner throughout most of the match to claim a 6-1, 6-1 win. He will next face Italian Lorenzo Musetti for a place in the semi-finals. Earlier, Musetti advanced to the quarter-finals after a convincing victory over fellow Italian Matteo Berrettini. Musetti, seeded 13 and currently ranked 16 in the ATP, won the match with a score of 6-3, 6-3, marking his 10th win of the season. In another action, Alex de Minaur secured the biggest win of his season in style after defeating world number 11 Daniil Medvedev 6-2, 6-2 to reach the quarterfinals for the second consecutive year. Up next, world number 10 de Minaur will take on 15 seed Grigor Dimitrov in the last 8. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as 29 Syrian artists participate in an art exhibition in Damascus titled Path, which calls for forgiveness and the end of the civil war. I'm Zahir, Kelvin Abdullah. Thank you for watching and stay safe.